I swear these other podcasts is just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts is just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind.
Yeah. Well, Nick, I'm going to need your expert opinion on this as a top-notch Big J journalist, as you are, covering the hometown Boston Red Sox here.
Okay. Go ahead. What is it, Wes?
What's the best way to handle being, I don't want to say attacked. Attacked is too strong of a word, but maybe mocked online. I'm asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah.
I would say, generally, I'm of the school thought that you just let the people say what they want to say, have fun with it, and don't get all bent out of shape. It's totally fine, because not everybody's going to like you. And sometimes when they mock you, they're not always wrong. That's the other thing, too.
Yeah.
And if there's...
But I'm fun at parties.
But you are fun at parties. You're fun all the time. I'd say you're fun on this show. But yeah, I would say in general, I usually am one to leave it alone. Unless I notice that they're mocking me and they're kind of having fun with it, then it's different. If there's anger, then I just ignore it.
See, generally I agree. Mm-hmm. Don't engage, because it's just Twitter. It's just the internet at the end of the day.
Right.
But every now and again, you gotta put your foot down. You gotta stand up for what you believe in. You gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Tim, any more cliches am I missing?
Yeah, got a pretty good.
Oh, I forgot to turn Tim's mic on.
Yeah.
You got a pretty good amount of them.
Anything else there? Yeah.
No.
We'll circle back. But sometimes you just gotta.
The bootstraps one is my favorite.
I love the bootstraps. Yeah.
Because it's so irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and then get on with it. But we'll touch on Star Wars name gate, name generator gate. It's a working hashtag at this point.
Can you work on it where we don't have gate involved? Because it's always involved in every.
I feel like that's the shtick, right?
Towel gate,
Deflate gate, spy
gate,
bounty gate.
Yeah. Well, what's a Watergate?
Watergate, the original.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's fine, I guess. I can live with that one.
Right.
But yeah. We have something that we got to talk about. It'll be in the comic book minute of the week. We'll replace that.
Very apropos.
Yes.
So welcome back. Episode 19 of the Change My Mind podcast. I, of course, am Wesley Sykes, and sitting across the room for me, I had lined up the Costanza to my Seinfeld, but I would say a little bit more appropriate based on our most recent conversation would be the Bernstein to my Woodrow, Nick Fryer. And, of course, we have Deep Throat to my left here.
Right, of course.
Tim Weisberg, as always, the man in the chair.
Yes, the man.
And this is if you're following along, if you're not into watching the Stanley Cup Final, this is a great alternative option for you. You're following along on the YouTube live stream, 1420 WBSM, out here in New Bedford. And we got a great show lined up for you today.
And of course, if you're listening on Geeks Worldwide or iTunes, Spotify, anything else like that too, after the Stanley Cup Final, it'll be just as entertaining.
Exactly. And we're going to be breaking down Brightburn.
Oh, yeah.
A little alliteration there for you.
Very excited to talk about this.
And we have some thoughts on it. I think it's a good movie. Right? Yeah, I think we'll get into. Is that too much of a spoiler of our main segment?
We'll just leave it at that and get into the news, because that's a pretty good tease for later.
Yes, absolutely. Let's get into what just came out this morning, I believe, which was an extended first look at X-Men Dark Phoenix, which of course hits theaters Thursday, Friday, June 7th, we'll say, as a nice round rough estimate there.
Is it Apple TV that put that out, I think?
I saw you share, so for all I know, it came from you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. That's yeah. No, I think it was Apple TV. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, so it's what, 2 or 3 minutes or so of just what seems to be an early on look. I would say within the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it looks like it's we've seen the scene where the X-Men are out in space. Jean goes through the whole thing where she either is using the Phoenix or absorbs the Phoenix, whatever it is. And this seems to be afterwards, where they come back and you're at the X-Mansion and everybody's celebrating, blah blah blah, and then Mystique takes over the show.
Mystique, yes. And like, she's kind of worked herself out of my good favor through this iteration of the X-Men. You know, I feel like she's just slow. Like, I'm not sure about her, you know, give a crap level in it all. I'm sure she enjoys the paycheck. But
You're talking about Jennifer Lawrence in general.
correct.
Yep.
Well, yeah, as these movies have progressed, like, I think she tried hard in First Class, and then everything has just kind of fell to the wayside.
Maybe. I just don't like how they've written the character. They've turned her into a hero where I mean, she's not, ever.
And she's not even the anti-hero anymore, right? Because that was kind of the thought.
I always looked at her as a villain. Personally, I like as a rogue. Like, I know in the first X-Men movies, and I'm blanking on the actress's name.
Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Well, there you go.
Well, you dropped she was then Stamos, but she's since dropped the Stamos.
Okay, so she was aligned with Magneto, but even in the comics, she was kind of more doing her own thing, wreaked her own havoc. She was, I think, Rogue's like stepmom and Nightcrawler's actual mom, which could have, I guess, could have still been the case in the course of some of these things, maybe. But I like that iteration of her more. This is like she's a straight up hero. What is that doing for me?
Yeah. So it goes into that, and just to kind of build off, if you haven't seen it yet, you can go on the internet at your leisure and probably search that out. But, you know, Professor X is singing the praises of the X-Men after saving that astronaut space mission, that's out there. He's obviously a little bit concerned about Jean after being exposed to the Phoenix, or that sort of explosion or whatever that was that occurred. Asked Beast to do a standard health check. And then Mystique has private words with Professor X. And, you know, my big issue is just from this extended clip, it's the same old conversation that we hear about Professor X, is that, you know, he's self-absorbed. He is only doing this to kind of build up his own ego. He doesn't have complete care for, everyone that's involved. He's not putting himself out on the line. So that, I feel like that's a tired conversation that we've seen with this McAvoy Professor X. I don't think we get that as much with the Patrick Stewart version.
No, and it's a different time in his life, and I understand that, but I can't say that I've read a ton of young Professor X material. I don't even know where to find that, honestly. But I've never known Professor X to go and put himself ahead of everybody else in his own, in the course of that trailer, he's talking about how, it feels nice to be recognized and not be the enemy, because one false move and then we're the enemy again somehow. I never saw it as that. I always saw Professor X as a guy who had an ideal and he stuck to it. Maybe he was stubborn about it. That's fine. But I can totally understand that argument. But he always was trying to do it for what was good and what the general population you would think would view as good, whereas Magneto's whole thing was he's doing it for good for his own species, whereas Xavier kind of saw it as we should be able to coincide.
But I feel like that conversation has been carried on with Magneto and Charles Xavier through the course of the first couple movies, and then I think Mystique kind of picks up where that conversation left off there in that long snippet. And then you get the final, not a stinger, but just the final couple of words there right at the end of it. And she says they should change the name to X-Women because all the women end up saving the men, end scene. And it's true, right? Because Jean Grey is obviously the most powerful mutant that we've seen to date. Mystique comes through and is a real hero for everybody in the Apocalypse movie, and then even in Days of Future Past. So they're definitely, we're building up the female roles in there, like you've seen across the board with a lot of of pop culture television movies over the last couple of years. And Game of Thrones comes to mind. Obviously, Avengers Endgame comes to mind. Again, the obvious parallels between the A-Force. I think gets brought up. Feels a little on the nose.
Okay, so I was the first person to defend the whole A-Force thing. I loved it. I did not think it was forced because, again, not to rehash the issue, but if you go and you look at the comics, you see moments like that throughout the course of the books, whether it's now, way back when Tim was a kid, whatever. That's been a consistent theme where you see people pose together in those kind of moments and they work together to fight against the greater evil. It doesn't matter. We all have the common goal. We can tell we're going to fight alongside one another. You have the Avengers Assemble moment, a few minutes before that. Yeah, they all know who Cap is, but they don't all know each other. But it doesn't matter. We're ready to work together to fight against Thanos and save the world. A-Force, same thing. This is, I agree with you that, you deal with Jean, who's saving the day. She's the most powerful X-Men, most powerful mutant, I would say, in the course of things, until really you bring like Legion along, which we're not getting into all that.
It's a whole different, whole
different ballgame. But I don't understand why, like, again, you say how it's on the nose. The A-Force, to me, not on the nose. It's a comic book thing. Mm-hmm. This was too on the nose, because you want to say, J-Law, Mystique's been saving the world for everybody. Yeah, what happened in Days of Future Past, right? You almost screwed everything up where we started the Sentinel program, and then that's why the world was ending and all the X-Men were dying, because you wanted to kill that guy where you couldn't see the bigger picture at hand, that by killing him, you prove him right, and then they're going to expedite that process.
Right. That's a good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's like you are great, and you've done a lot of good stuff. Sure, you're much better than the Mystique we're used to, but you've made some dumb mistakes too, and you worked with Magneto. And as much as I love Magneto, he's not.
Well, yeah, you got the helmet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he doesn't make all the right decisions. So you've made some bad choices along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So don't give me this whole we should be the X-Women thing. Like if it's supposed to be a joke, then that's fine. I mean, I missed it. But I think
it's a little I would think it's a little jokey too, but yeah,
it might be. That's my only concern.
Yeah.
I'm going on this rant. Is it supposed to be funny? If it's supposed to be funny, then all right, I guess. But it's just in these times, I don't know how well that's going to hit. I feel like the people who are on my side still with the A-Force thing, it's just not going to resonate in the same manner,
right?
Because they are two very different things.
Well, are you excited for this movie?
I am excited for this movie. Stop giving me trailers that are getting me concerned.
I feel like I know the whole movie already too, with all the trailers and extended looks and all this other stuff.
That's all right, though. You love spoilers.
I do.
You do.
I do love it. Yeah, that's a good point.
But when it's a bad movie, it's a little concerning.
Right.
Yeah, because
I feel like I just got put in my place here.
You did, kind of. This whole show is built on spoilers. That's the first.
Just a call back to episode 1.
Yes, it is, which you can find in the archives of, Geeks Worldwide or all that stuff.
Our iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, all that stuff.
All that good stuff. So another trailer or another movie that's coming out, not a trailer so much, is Spider-Man Far From Home.
Right.
And as first reported by Empire, they're supposedly to reveal big Tony Stark secrets.
Okay.
So in this Empire article, Tony Stark's secret lab in his Stark jet will be found by Peter Parker. And what's inside will allegedly be one of great value / use to Parker in the Spider-Man sequel. What's in the lab?
Honestly, my first thing, Wes, when I saw that you put this in here, because I didn't see it, you're the one that caught it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get, as reporters, you have to put stuff out there, and you're trying to find every little thing that you can to be relevant, to do your job.
And get clicks, get views, yeah.
Yeah, all that. I don't know, just something like this. It's like, why do we need to leak this out? Like, I don't need to know I don't need to know Tony Stark's involved at all in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't want. Like,
well, you know that he is in some way, shape, or his presence is around the movie from the trailers,
and that's
right?
fine. I'm more curious than anything is how is he going to end up getting there? Is Pepper going to bring him there? Is Happy going to lead him there, or is he going to be too busy with Aunt May, hanging out with her? But what's in there?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's going to be some advanced tech.
Yeah,
That's a generic answer for you.
Well, yeah. You're really going out on a limb there.
Yeah. That's me.
Advanced tech in a Stark jet. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
So no, I thought maybe a new Stark Spidey suit. Maybe that's where that stealth suit comes from that we've seen.
Oh. That would be a weird one. Then okay. I'd be fine with that if that news got out, because we already know he's got that suit.
Right, yeah. So maybe it's some sort of combination of the two. Because when they show the Iron Spider suit in the trailers for the Far From Home movie, it looks kind of out of place. Like in the Avengers, it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Homecoming feels more grounded. Mm-hmm. And that just seems like a little bit too fantastical. It just seemed a little out of place for me.
Yeah, real quick, going back to Endgame, it's funny, in the course of everything that we talked about and the minor issues that we had with the movie, you never brought up the fact that Spidey is shooting webs and swinging around like he's in New York City in a barren wasteland.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, I can't believe, because that was...
What are you attaching to?
The only thing it could have been was Ant-Man.
Right.
And then when he comes from Titan, there are obviously some structures that he could have done that with.
Yeah.
But I was curious that you never even...
That's a really good point.
That crossed your mind. That's totally something that you would notice.
I failed the people. I apologize for that.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's a great catch.
I did notice that upon viewing too, but it didn't bother me. I was like, whatever. I'm sure there's a reason behind it. They wouldn't make that huge a mistake.
Because they make sure to make a point of it in Homecoming, right? When he's out on the golf course and then he goes and like shoots his webs and he's like, oh, this is all open suburbia here. Like I got nothing to attach to. So that's a really good catch by you.
Yeah, that's coming out July? Far From Home, excuse me. It's coming out July 2nd, right?
Yeah, July 2nd. So a couple other things I wrote down, like they showed a hologram-esque web shooter in the trailer. So like maybe it's something along those lines. Maybe you get like a Jarvis like AI system with Tony's voice in there. Like that would be kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Maybe a dossier of potential threats or villains.
Okay.
Because you go back, right? Because like even because he's like Tony Stark in the Iron Man movies is aware of like Wakanda, like that shows up on his in his secret lair on his supercomputer, and like he's aware of someone's aware of Doctor Strange. That make a reference to him early. I don't know if that's Nick Fury or whoever.
I think it was. You're talking about in the MCU.
Yeah,
I think that
but it was like long before.
It was in Winter Soldier, and it was Agent Sitwell brought up Stephen Strange.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
no, that's a good call right there.
Thank you. Yeah,
but so they've done that sort of thing before.
I don't think it'll be. It may be a Jarvis type thing or Friday, like more advanced. But I don't think it will have Tony's voice because I gotta imagine he's gonna want some money for that. And is it gonna be worth it for Marvel? I mean, I know that they make plenty of money.
Right. Yeah, but like that's a good little payday. Ask Paul Bettany about that. You get a good pay just for easy work. But
I'm not saying
they want to.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. would be a fool to not do that because you're doing nothing and you're getting paid whatever amount of money you're getting paid to do that. But I do think you threw me off with the dossier using big words.
I like that. I like to use dossier as much as I can.
Okay, I respect that.
See if I can circle back to that.
I think that would be good. Maybe it's at the end where he kind of finds like all these characters are exist in this universe, and maybe
that sets up like a Sinister Six sort of thing.
It could, or could it set up a Venom thing, which you jotted down here?
Yeah. So apparently there's rumors of people wanting Tom Hardy's Venom to intersect with. The Spider-Man in a third, the third installment of the Spider-Man series. So but the window's open, right? Because even though they've never intersected, you don't really know what world Venom is in. Is he from this timeline? He's from a different timeline. So again, with these opening of timelines, it opens up all this crossover potential.
Look, I am not like when it comes.
And they're both still Sony products.
I've said it before. I'm not when it comes to Spider-Man. I'm not a diehard. I like him. I watch the cartoons, but he's never been my favorite character. I really like his powers. Honestly, I might pick him over a lot of characters, but he just, I don't know, it just never worked for me.
So he's high up there for me.
Right. I've told you, I don't like that he's all tech with his web. I want that web, part of his powers, like that to shoot out of his wrist. That's the Spider-Man I grew up with. I don't, and the whole thing with Venom is it was attached to Spider-Man first. So you're going to bring in Venom in a different way. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good point.
The universe, the different.
But that's an easy kind of fake, or easy.
No, it's already
fix,
happened. No, it would be different from the origin, and that's just one thing I wouldn't like to see necessarily. Because I think Venom's pretty kick-ass. But you bring up a good point with the universes, where, all right, I can buy into that a little bit more because he's not in the same world right now, but somehow he got brought in like Mysterio supposedly did. Right,
so
exactly. that I could definitely buy into a bit more. In fairness.
Any last thoughts on the news and notes, sir?
Nope. We got to get to the comic book news of the week. So I know in terms of my pull list that Deathstroke's out, TMNT, Batman 3, issue number 2. It's really becoming a mouthful. I really can't recommend that enough to people. I think there's no like bigger picture story in it all. I think it's just fun. And I think the art in it is, I'm drawing a blank on who does the art in that, and it's a shame because they do a good job. But I think it's been the same artist, James Tynion, I believe, is the writer. He's been doing all 3.
Okay, that's a good pull.
I recommend starting from the beginning with that. I do, but I think you'd be fine either way. We'll see. I'm not certain. I haven't read the second one yet. But the real thing I want to talk about this week was wanted to highlight an artist, Gail Simone, who wrote Birds of Prey, Batgirl, Wonder Woman, Deadpool. She now writes Domino, and Domino's done. She writes Domino Hot Shots now, which has Domino, Black Widow, and then a few other characters who most people won't be as familiar with. And I loved the Domino run, and I like the Hot Shots stuff a lot now too. I think I like Hot Shots more. It's got Deadpool in it as well. Well, as Wes kind of teased earlier, he was dealing with
big market tease.
Yes, as he was dealing with some stuff on Twitter the other day,
which you roped me into.
This is apparently my fault.
Well, I just want you to take 75% of the blame.
You want me to take 75% of the blame?
Yeah, it's going upwards of 80.
Is it going to keep rising like that?
I think so.
I think I can settle.
When you read back all these comments, it might go up because I've blocked them out from my memory.
So I'm not gonna. So what I'm gonna do for everybody is I'll read off the initial tweet that started this whole thing before even I weighed in.
And Tim, I would love for you to be present in this conversation because I want your opinion on whether I'm valid in my initial thought here.
So, Tim, you know how there are like these stupid name games that you see on Twitter,
like
Instagram,
name generators.
Facebook?
Yeah, so part of my job is making those kind of things.
Okay.
Oh, that's not going to help your case.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of name generators. I just want the rules to be clear and concise.
Okay, so
like with your middle school teacher's name plus the street that you grew up on and your first dog's name or whatever, things like that.
So I'm driving home from the Red Sox game when I see this.
Yes.
And was I driving when I saw it? Maybe. No, I don't know. We'll see. But
it's a lot of traffic in the city.
yeah, exactly. Not necessarily at 1 a.m, but whatever. Anyways,
I was trying to help you.
Yeah,
out
I
there.
appreciate it. Either way, I didn't do anything till I got home. All right. So I see this from Gail's Twitter account, who I follow her, still do. I am not blocked, which is a tease for later. And Gail tweeted out, "Your Star Wars." Tim, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. She said, "Your Star Wars name is your last name with the 4th letter omitted, all letters past the 6th removed, and a random vowel placed at the end, and your first name backwards."
This is a pain in the ass.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
Thank you so much.
This is like
oh my god.
this
What
is
are we
like
doing here?
Oh, no.
pick a number, add 4, subtract 12, divide by 12,
So,
add 16, divide by 3. It's
so to
3.
add context to this is that when you send this out, what, like 7 in the morning to us, something along those lines?
Real early.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, I tweeted it at 4:01 a.m. No, that's not right. It says 4:01 a.m. I didn't tweet it that early.
Oh wow. Well, at any rate,
Yeah.
I look at my mentions after my alarm goes off. So it's like I think it's deadline day for my newspaper, so I'm like already a little like stressed out of like knowing what I have to do all day.
Yeah.
And I don't even have the crusties out of my eyes, and I'm reading these rules, and I'm like, what is this? No, I will not do this. I'm abstaining from it. It's a piss poor name generator.
So,
as someone who creates name generators, just confirmed to me.
That doesn't help my case. I thought it was fun. I was like, oh, it's a Star Wars
Well,
thing,
listen,
whatever.
it's fun. It's all rooted in fun.
Exactly.
Right?
So I was able to figure out my name at 2 a.m. when I got back to my condo, and Free Row Kin.
Now, one more time.
Free Row Kin.
Now, KCIN.
Yeah, the C's silent.
Is it?
It is, and
Is that how the English language works?
I mean, okay, it's kin.
All
Free
the
Row
more
Kin.
reason why this is just a piss poor
It's a
name
Star
generator.
Wars name, though. We're dealing with all these ridiculous characters.
I can still pronounce the names Lando Calrissian.
So I tagged 4 people in this. I did not tag Tim because I figured this would annoy Tim. I didn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I don't
no,
mean
no.
to cut you off.
No,
but
please.
I guess there's the difference if it's going to be your Star Wars name. If you are just a regular humanoid, Rebel Alliance member, you don't want to have a ridiculous name like that. But if you're like some weird
like a porg
space, if you're like 9 Nub, like you would
that's
have
out of my range then.
he's the dude that rides around with Admiral Akbar.
Okay.
You remember
okay.
remember
Yeah.
Lando and the Falcon?
I only mention that because I have a friend who's actually a Muppeteer who was 9 Nub.
Okay.
So that's one of the few
nice.
names that I actually remember.
Who was
Sick humble
9 now?
brag.
As
Yeah,
in,
it is.
in the actual
For this
movie?
show, that's definitely a humble brag. What?
In the actual Return of the Jedi?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
You know 9 Nub?
Mike Quinn. We're not like really good
I mean,
friends.
he's a good guy. He's a local guy.
Yeah.
But
Horrible drinking problem.
I met him at one of the South Coast Toy and Comic shows here.
Okay.
We've remained friendly on Facebook.
Huh? No kidding. Mm-hmm. Okay, so like I said, mine's Free Row Kin, and some people were drawing like writing a little story for themselves. So I said, not sure what my role would be. Feels like a name for a lower tier pod racer on the main circuit. So I liked it. So I tagged Wes. I tagged our friend Mitch, Mitchy BYT or _ BYT.
Yes.
Dr. Joe Gilmore and Fleetwood J Mac of the Mac and Goop podcast. I
course.
figured they would enjoy the game. the other 3 guys participated in it, Tim. Wes decided to abstain. And not only abstain, he wanted to weigh in why he was abstaining.
It's a piss poor name generator.
I think that's exactly what you wrote. Yeah, that is exactly what you wrote.
I won't forget those
really
words.
is. Like, those name generators are supposed to be something that's fun. You know, it's supposed to be, first of all, it's not supposed to be that much work. Second of all, it's supposed to be goofy, and it's supposed to be something you can figure out in 10 seconds and then comment underneath it.
Well, I do want to make it clear I did figure out Wes's name in like 10 seconds.
Right.
It was, where am I here? It
Psychio Yelsu?
Psyche Yelsu is how, Psyche Yelsu.
Yeah, okay.
You also didn't let.
I'm not buying that action figure.
No.
I think actually,
I'm a dancer at Jabba's bar. Is that what I'm? Yeah, which is actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
The other thing you didn't like was the random vowel. That was the one thing I think that
this is a pet peeve that my fiance absolutely gets very upset whenever I point this out to her. It's random. That's so random that you order this food. And I'm like, no, I made the conscious decision to order this food.
Right, that
random.
makes it not random by default.
It's not a random letter. It's a letter of your choosing.
Random, maybe because it's not what you would normally do.
There's 6 vowels.
Oh, no, I'm talking about what I'm defending Julia, not Gail.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, you can rip on Gail.
I get it. But again, it's just the misuse. It's the acceptance of that word being misused in common,
Isn't
common
it ironic?
conversation. A little bit. Yeah.
So in response,
Isn't it ironic, don't you think?
you figure Wes says
Like 10,000 spoons.
Right.
So Tim, you deal with people who comment on stuff on the WBSM website, all the news stories and stuff. You see a comment, you don't necessarily have to acknowledge it, right? You usually ignore it.
Well, yeah. I mean, my basic rule of thumb is as long as the conversation doesn't get out of hand, I don't need to get involved.
Okay, exactly.
Well, and like my thought process was that like obviously she was tagged in this comment.
Right.
So, but I was having a conversation with Nick and the other guys who were talking about this, and obviously she was still tagged in it, so she sees it, but she has like 1,300 responses, which she was very keen of pointing out to me after the fact.
Yeah.
But instead of liking your comment or liking Fleetwood J-Mac's comment, or who knows of the other ones who actually fully participated in this piss poor name generator, she chooses out the one and then says, you.
She says, "You're fun and get jokes."
Yes. To which I respond, "This was a joke. What's the punchline?"
And she says, "Well, the 1,300 people who responded so far got that it was intentionally goofy, but to be fair, they're not you. Bye, Shecky."
Which I don't know who Shecky. Like, is that like I think that's like
Green?
a bye Becky thing, or
no. I think she's referring to you as Shecky Green, like that's the traditional like Catskills comedian. Like just the Jewish guy that would play the Catskills that wasn't really funny, but because Jewish people in the Catskills like to have other Jewish comedians.
So
like you kind of made a career for yourself going up there.
So even
and
her jokes are horseshit? Is that what you're telling me? Is that what
I mean,
I even have to explain the joke
listen,
to
I got
me?
to tell you, I can appreciate a Shecky Green reference, and I'm kind of turned on right now.
It's a dated reference. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
She's in the similar age range as Tim, is what it comes down to.
Hey, listen, that's dated for our age, too.
Yeah. So, Wes, you then replied. Do you have it pulled up in front of you?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Wes then replied, "Sorry I hurt your feelings. Thanks for bringing more faces to my page. Have a great day. We'll link my SoundCloud soon."
And I like the inflection because I put the exclamation point in there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it goes back and forth. And then she, quote tweets me and then says, "This guy seems like a load of laughs."
Yep.
Then my mentions start getting filled, as do yours.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Mitch's, Fleetwood J-Mac and
Dr.
Backcracker
Joe.
and all those guys.
Dr.
Yeah.
Joe and Fleetwood J-Mac started a hashtag campaign. It didn't really get far off the ground. What was it?
Well, I saw that it was trending nowhere.
Which is a place, right, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So there you go.
Yes.
So we're part of that reality now.
But
we're Earth Zero.
The question I posed to you off the top of the show was, how do you handle, getting mocked or that sort of thing, getting poked fun at? And normally I agree with you that, I'm the bigger, I'm supposed to be the media person. I'm here on Twitter to disseminate news, maybe offer an opinion here or there, but not really throw anyone under the bus. Like, I'm not really like a hot take type of guy.
This is different.
Here, though, like in this platform, I kind of enjoy that because in my work life, I don't do that as much.
Now you know why I have a separate account.
Right.
This is exactly why.
Yeah, but it's like, so it's all me, though, at the end of the day. So
Yes,
and I understand your approach to it, but again, this is just me,
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I completely understand where you're coming from on that. But again,
There are other reasons,
to
but
get the response back that I do, saying like, sorry, I hurt your feelings. No, I didn't hurt your feeling, or no, feelings weren't hurt, or whatever to that effect is if you have it pulled up. She says that, but the actions say something completely different.
And
And I even go with that. I didn't offend her, personally once outside of the name generator. I actually said she's a very successful, established writer.
Oh God, yeah.
And then proceeds to call me a nobody. But this nobody clearly got under her skin. There's so much to the fact that she had to quote tweet it and then respond multiple times to it.
The ending
and it's the punching down that I don't understand.
She's forget the Twitter following like that. Yes, she has over 120,000. She's a very, very good writer. I enjoy her stuff. I haven't read everything, but what I have read, I enjoy. She's funny. She writes a good plot, good character development, all of that. I just can't believe that she's going and punching down at you. No offense. It's the same thing for me.
That's what I said to you, right? This is the exact term.
The biggest thing is
it's the self-absorption.
And I'm not going to take this last little bit away from you. I'm going to let you reveal it to everybody because only I think Tim and I know what happened at the end is the most shocking thing of all. And I still like Gail. She hasn't, her and I, as far as I can tell, are fine on Twitter. But I don't agree with how she handled this. As much as I think the game was fun. But the ending blew my mind.
Well, can I just jump in for a second?
Sure. Yes.
He thinks they're fine. She totally muted him.
Yeah. That's a good point.
What?
That's a good point.
Oh, muted me?
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
You think you're fine? She might have muted you.
We just wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
Oh, I can live with being muted.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Which is actually the way to go in these type of situations more often than not.
I can live with being muted. That's fine.
But yeah, so
I'd be surprised though. I didn't respond once after that whole thing. And
no, you stayed. You just left me out there to dry, man.
I wanted to talk about here.
This is my faithful co-host, ladies and gentlemen.
Way to get his back.
But so after I'm saying like I'm just kind of shocked that I could draw the ire of this successful, established comic book writer from nobody's point of view. And then she's like, you know what? Right, good point. Have a good day, or something along that. And then she promptly blocked me right afterwards.
I can't believe she blocked you on Twitter.
Yeah, hey,
that's insane.
Yeah.
What do you?
No, it's really not.
Yes, it is. You've had no interactions with her ever before.
I know.
She's gonna block you out of nowhere.
You probably won't again either. Like once this little dust up is over, like you're not gonna go and attack her again and again.
No, not even attack. Like
no, you're not this time either. Yeah,
there was no first time. Like I was just like, sorry, I don't think. And as evidenced by how confusing this was, I said this to you in a text message as we're going back and forth as all this stuff is kind of unfolding on Thursday.
Yep.
Is that the people who quote, in the quote tweet mentions at that point, which I don't think you were a part of at that point.
Yeah.
But they were getting my own Star Wars name generator name wrong.
Oh, that was the only reason I really wanted to
They couldn't even figure it out.
I wanted to be like, it's Psych C. There's an I at the end, you idiots.
Right.
Get it right. I wrote it for you.
But it's a random letter.
Yeah, but they weren't even throwing...
it's a random letter.
Some of them weren't even throwing the vowel in at the end. It was just 6. No, it's not 6. That's not as cool. Sexy. Yes. Now he's in Jabba's palace.
So these are the level of intelligence that we're dealing with here. Also, the dead giveaway is obviously my name's Wesley Sykes. It bears a striking resemblance to Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Sykes alone Wes Sykes is a great Star Wars name.
See, I think that can work, right?
That is true.
Yeah, I think that could work on its own. But they were making the obvious Wesley Snipes references, which I've heard for 31 years of my life at this point. So it's like the level of creativity that we're dealing with here is not really of that of cosplayers and Twitch affiliates and all that stuff like I saw on their.
But if people don't know you, they could think that Wesley Sykes is just a smart ass Twitter name,
like a pseudonym or something like that.
Right, like you're trying to be like Wesley Snipes, but Psych.
That's why I didn't partake in all this because obviously for those who are new to the show, I review comics and I've written stuff about Gail's writing before, and I'm going to continue to read Domino Hotshots. I think it came out last week or comes out this week. I will continue to read her stuff, but Wes is, if you've listened to this show for 5 minutes, you know that Wes is, as much as we like to throw out hot takes, Wes is not a mean, vicious person.
No, not really.
And he's never been that on Twitter either.
No.
So his jokes and his sarcasm doesn't necessarily translate through here.
I understand, but I can have a bit of a dry wit.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're seriously, Wes, I've seen some pretty brutal people on Twitter.
Oh, yeah, it's a cesspool. It is a cesspool.
I mean, when you deal with the people who love to rip on Boston media, it's the worst.
Right.
It's the absolute worst. So this
Well,
is
I'm a Boston dude, sports bra.
exactly. That's what somebody's called you. Exactly.
And I'm also, I would just like to clarify for the record, I'm a fantastic time at parties.
Yeah.
You know, I like to dance. I like to have a good time. I can tell some good jokes. I have good monologue speeches for the right appropriate occasion.
You have the greatest wedding joke ever.
Right, that's true.
Translates to all. Save it for another
Well,
special.
yeah, our Lord and Savior. And also, I was in a fraternity for 3 or 4 years, and I know that opens up to a whole nother realm of jokes, which I'm completely fine with embracing. But I was the food and beverage chair of my fraternity at Hofstra University, in charge of throwing 10 keg rippers on a regular basis. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, that was mostly because I was the oldest one in the group and I could buy the beer.
Makes
and
sense.
put myself on the line for, like, hosting brothel-type parties with all these huge... Brothel is the legal term that gets used for, like, fraternity, sorority parties. Not, like, a whorehouse or something like that.
Right. I got it.
But yeah, so just to make that abundantly clear, but so I was the man with the plan there, the food and beverage chair, which is a great name for
that is
keg buyer.
Yeah, that is. I like that. I've never heard that before.
That's essentially my 2 cents on it, and even like to this day, like I'm still getting people in my mentions. So
it's also what I call my recliner, just so you know.
What's that?
The food and beverage chair.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah. That's Wes was getting notifications on it as early as or as recent as Monday.
Yes.
But
I hope they continue to come too.
So you're gonna keep clapping back, aren't you?
Well, because now it's just kind of funny because now it's like people going back into someone else's timeline, reading through the comments, and then choosing to find that one person. Mm-hmm. Which is
and this is also
says more about them than me, I think.
And I think this is a good time to let everybody know that this episode 20 is the last episode that I'll be on the show because Wes is now going to be working with the people who defended him on Twitter instead of me going forward. He made the decision prior to the show.
We will be holding open auditions. So please send your demos to sykes.wesley@gmail.com.
Yep.
And I will be happy to take a look, and we'll go through it.
At least I get to review Breitbart with you. But before we talk about, Brightburn. Good God. Breitbart. How the heck did I do that?
It's okay.
I've never read that site before.
It's because you're sitting in that seat in the WBSM studio, so it's just the right wing just seeps into you.
God, yeah, that's why I feel so gross right now. But before we get into that, we have something to stay woke about this week, Wes?
Yes, we do. It's a very interesting Stay Woke of the Week here. And it comes from a YouTuber called Be Amazed. And it was first published on YouTube 3 days ago. And it was entitled, How Far Away Are We from a Real-Life Iron Man Suit?
All right, you have me hooked.
Right, so that's the title right there. That's getting me, that's already getting my nips hard right there. So, from, again, YouTuber Be Amazed, they kind of break down all the current military technology and things that are out there right now and try to see how far away we are, how close we are to a real-life Iron Man suit. So, military engineer Lockheed Martin, that's a military engineer company, has already created rudimentary versions of the Iron Man suit with lower body exoskeletons. So, think Edge of Tomorrow-esque. Have you guys seen that Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt movie?
I know the premise of it.
So it's kind of like that. So it's called the Onyx, which helps soldiers move farther on foot by reducing the load on the back and the human leg. So, and then there's also the Rewalk, which is also a lower body exoskeleton that helps paraplegic walk. So think Rhodey and Captain America in Civil War. But that civilian use, the Rewalk exoskeleton, costs $85,000 per unit. It's a little bit slower, a little bit clunkier. It's not as smooth as the military grade one.
Okay.
Then there's also Jetpack Aviation claims to have a jetpack that can travel at speeds up to 200 miles an hour, which would put it in the realm of the Iron Man suit.
Really?
But can fly up to only 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because
gotta start somewhere.
Because of fuel. This is the big issue over it all. So fuel intake. More fuel you have makes it more heavier it is, which means you need more fuel to carry the weight. So it's a kind of a vicious cycle sort of thing.
Got to get that arc technology going.
Right. So Eves Rossi, who is known as Jetman, has a carbon fiber wing device, think Falcon, right? that's scaled down with scaled down like jet engines, and it has it cancels out the gas costly takeoffs, assuming that it drops you in from a higher point, and then you can kind of glide, and then you can kind of guide where you're going from there. Now let me see here. So fuel is, like I just mentioned, fuel is the main inhibitor of an Iron Man suit. Tony uses a clean energy arc reactor. But engineers can create nuclear fusion reactors, but not in handheld devices or in small things that one can create more energy than it consumes. That's the big issue. So ITER, a coalition of 34 countries, have pooled resources together to form a clean energy reactor. The only problem is it's the size of a hotel and won't be turned on to 2025.
Okay.
So having humans in Iron Man suits is a tricky thing. So as the suit in the MCU operates around 1 million to 13 million horsepower, which is essentially the equivalent of like 20,000 Corvettes.
Jesus.
The heat signature from that much power alone would burn a hole through the known metals on Earth, as well as anything inside of it. Let me see here. But a drone-style Iron Man suit is feasible, as removing the human body reduces weight and power consumption. So in 2016, scientists were able to control robotic hands just using their minds with some sort of contraption attached to their head, like some sort of like pulse, like right around their temples here. So the power needed to create the suit could be found in lithium-ion batteries, which are currently found in Teslas, or the step above a lithium-ion battery, which is a lithium-sulfur battery. But there's a chance that the batteries could explode, once again raising an issue of having a person inside of it. But if you had a drone, then it's just metal, right? So who cares? But it couldn't be made out of iron, much like the apropos name, because that's too heavy of a metal. So you could have like a lightweight alloy metal as an option with some sort of thin fabric that would absorb the contact that would take if you were to take a shot.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? So the initial metal would be too hard on the human body to take like metal on metal, like contact. But you would need something there as a buffer to absorb all that energy.
Gotcha. So
propulsion is the other main thing. You talk about the blasters on the hands and the feet. Efficient jet engines, like from Gravity Industries' jet suit, which bear a striking resemblance to the Iron Man suit, with propulsors placed on the forearms. So they're almost like little jet engines are coming right out at the wrists. And
Gotcha.
But they're incredibly tough to control because you have to have like equal body movement on either side to be able to like lift up off the ground with, you know, the swiftness and smoothness, elegance, however you want to put it, as Tony Stark does. Yes, so the closest thing to hand blasters, which again, what we're talking about here, are prototype laser turrets designed by the U.S. Air Force, which is amazing. Like they do that to shoot down like missiles and different drones and enemy drones and that sort of thing. But they're too big to carry on a suit, so they just have them like on top of like tanks and that sort of thing right now.
Gotcha.
And the last thing that I have on here is what they already have. The military already has these, and it would cost something like $8.6 million to make per suit. The Method 2. You seen Avatar?
Yeah.
You know, like the big machines that all the bad guys in the armies are using?
Gotcha.
Very similar like that. That can actually house a person, and then the person inside of it, kind of like the Hulkbuster suit, mimics all the movements of the person inside of there. So it's like unbelievable. So it holds a human, the suit mimics the movements of the driver, but the battery just has a 3-hour lifespan.
So we'll be living.
And there's a real life like Asian version of Tony Stark out there who's poured in all this money to try to make this stuff happen, like his own personal money. Now, in the movies, Tony Stark's worth like $18 billion, so I'm not sure if he has that much money.
Yeah, but I get the point.
But they're pouring in millions when you could be pouring in billions if that's something you're into. So if you were to go that extra step, it's feasible.
So you're saying by the time we're like 70, we're going to be living in a Terminator world?
It could be, man. It's scary stuff. Have you ever see those videos from like MIT students and stuff who make like the dogs that jump, like the robotic dogs that can jump over walls and like,
yeah, I hate
or
this.
like the ones that shoot like a basketball from half court and that sort of thing.
I
and
think
like,
this is part of why I don't like tech heroes as much as I like the skill heroes, because in the end, yeah, I know tech heroes should win most of the time,
right?
But like, if what's to say that the tech doesn't end up going south and somehow we end up losing to the tech and it becomes smart enough where we can't win?
A la Ultron.
That you just took the worst out of my mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
God. Which we may want to talk about that next week, by the way.
I think so. I think that could be a good time.
I don't think we have a movie. I think Dark Phoenix comes out this week, but we usually give the people 2 weeks to see the movie.
And that could be a good time to bring it up because you got mutants, you got tech, you got science, space, like serum, like Captain America, Winter Soldier, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, who we will talk about later on in the show. But are you excited about it, Wes, or not? Because I can't tell.
I like it. I'm very intrigued by it. So again, it's from the YouTube page. Be amazed, and it's how far away are we from a real life Tony Iron Man suit?
Did you now? You explained it in great detail, and I feel like I learned a lot. Do I need to still watch it after hearing your explanation?
Yeah, because it's cool to see like in context with the video.
Oh, so, you see all the stuff.
Yeah, they actually show this sort of thing. So it's actually like really interesting.
Okay. Well,
so I pretty much gave you a synopsis of it and some major bullet points that I thought were interesting. But it's crazy to see that how close we are to it, and we're like right around it. You know what I mean? Like, but we're not there.
Yeah.
But you have all these parts. But the big thing is, finding a clean energy source that's small enough to create the power that will power itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
even then, like, it's still a little above my intelligence level.
I get it. At the end of it all, I guess we do need it because if we're gonna have someone come around like, I don't know, Clark Kent or what's his face?
Brandon Breyer?
Brandon Breyer. Thank you. I'm trying to find it in your notes. Brendan Breyer. Then I guess we kind of need that sort of technology, right?
Yes. Yes, and which I think is a good segue. I think that's what you're leaning towards.
Yeah, that's what I was leaning towards.
Let's get there, huh?
Yes, because we got Brightburn to review. It's been out for 2 weeks. Wes and I both saw it over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And Wes, do you want to read off your little synopsis first?
What if a child from another world crash landed on Earth, but instead of becoming a hero to mankind, he proved to be something far more sinister? Directed by David Yarovesky, written by Brian and Mark Gunn, produced by James Gunn, stars Elizabeth Banks, David Denham, a.k.a. Roy from The Office, Jackson Dunn, who plays Brandon Breyer, Matt L. Jones, who was Brandon Badger from Breaking Bad, and, of course, Zeke Schrute from The Office. And then, at the very, very tail end of it, you get a Michael Rooker appearance.
Who's Zeke Schrute?
So he's not...
no, I'm sorry. No, that's who Matt L. Jones plays in...
Right, in The Office. Yes.
Got it. Okay, that's right. I got confused for a second there. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was... I did not know that we were going to see Badger from Breaking Bad.
Right.
I always appreciate him. I think he was fine. But I mean, we'll get into it more. You still got to give the people some other info.
Well, 6.5 out of 10 on IMDb. It's grossed $24.7 million worldwide. That's 14 domestically, 10.5 foreign. In the 2-week totals, it dropped from number 5 on the opening weekend to number 9. Considerable drop off monetary wise as well.
I'm surprised it hasn't done better.
I'm kind of surprised too, but you have Aladdin around there. It's kind of an odd time where like the weather's been so nice, especially in this area. I can't really speak for elsewhere.
Yeah, I wonder what.
But you have Graduation in so many places.
I think that
I think this was a tough time.
I think the budget wasn't too crazy though. Yeah, it was between. I'm looking right. Yeah, that's Wikipedia. How much can I buy into that? But it says between 6 and 12 million according to Wikipedia.
So so it's already doubled or tripled in some cases.
Yeah. Let's see. According to Box Office Mojo, we usually go
that's
by.
what I usually go by. Yep.
$6 million. So it's a success. I just would have thought it would be more toward the 100 million.
More sweet, kind of following up on the superhero success, because as we were talking about this before we went on air, it's a superhero movie with horror elements.
Yes, I think it's listed as a superhero horror movie.
Right.
But I wouldn't. I mean, I've seen. I mean, it's more gore than it is horror. I think there's some jump scares in the course of it all. But
right.
It's a lot of what Brendan Breyer is. I mean, he's all jump scares.
Yeah.
And for those who are new to the Change My Mind podcast, whenever we talk about movies or any shows or anything like that,
spoilers.
Yes, unless we tell you otherwise, it's going to be spoilers the whole way through. So first of all, Wes, did you enjoy this movie?
I did enjoy this movie. I did like this movie. Yes,
okay.
Yes, I did. I thought it was a little slow starting out. But I thought, the midway through the movie, it definitely picked up. And I think that goes hand in hand with the performance of Jackson Dunn, Brandon Breyer. Mm-hmm. Because, he just seemed kind of cold and aloof early on. And he was just kind of staring. And then there's a stark contrast when right after he breaks his classmate's arm, and he has that conversation with, I believe, Erica is her name, his aunt, the school counselor.
Yep.
Then I think you start to see that shift in him where he's like, I'm better than everyone and I know it.
I think we noticed. Yeah, that might have been.
For me, that's where I thought I really
the shift in the movie. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It was. I mean, so I liked the movie as well. I gave it an 80 out of 100. We do everything out of 100 on our scale. Wes, you gave it
I gave it an 82, which I believe marks the first time that I've rated a movie higher than you have.
So the biggest reason that it's an 80 for me, and I actually at first was like, this might be a 70, 72 movie for me, because the biggest reason is, as much as I enjoyed it, the violence was next level, but at the same time, I kind of appreciate it for what he brings to the table. If it's a rated R movie, it should kind of be that gory. It's Superman. It's and we've seen movies where they copy a similar theme, similar characters, whatever, but there's always a pretty distinct difference in terms of the story or the character, where it's like, we're going to take this as our base, our foundation that we're going to work off of, but then we're going to go off to the right or off to the left and make it our own thing. With Superman, it was a mirror image, I felt like, with Brightburn, it's a mirror image of Superman. It's just, okay, this is what Clark Kent would have done.
Right.
This is what Brendan Breyer's going to have done. Clark Kent would have done. Brendan Breyer's going to do that. And they both alliteration. I didn't even think of that either.
Oh, yeah.
No.
C and the K, but you still get the hard C sound. Sure.
Exactly. As we talked about earlier in the show with Star Wars names.
Right.
But he's from Kansas. He's from outer space. He's adopted by parents
lives
who
on a
can't have
farm.
kids. Yep, who live on a farm. They're just a regular family, I guess we can call it.
Blue collar, yeah.
Yeah, however you want to phrase it. Nothing flashy. And he's a kid who's got superpowers, crazy superpowers, bulletproof, heat, laser vision, can
speed,
fly, strength, just everything. He's
indestructible.
Superman. He is Superman. It's what it is. He has one weakness in the course of it all too, and I don't know if you want to say it's kryptonite. I mean, it's
essentially
it's his kryptonite.
Yeah, well, it's what comes from his own planet, right? So it's what comes off his ship.
Exactly.
So again, it's only from his planet that can hurt him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right. Yep. It's the same thing. Now, that being said, that probably took, I don't know if I can say 10 points off this movie, because I still felt like there was something else that would have kept it from being a 90 for me. But that was the biggest knock I have on this movie.
Yeah, and it's always interesting when you have, maybe it's not the main character, but a lead character as a child actor. That's a real hit or miss thing, and they can really make or break the movie, I think. And I thought he did a good job.
He did a good job.
Again, on the back half of it. I don't know. It's kind of a tough thing to ask out of a kid, I think. Because you're asking to play with a lot of different emotions.
It was definitely... I don't mind slow, especially when I feel like there's a purpose behind it. And I did feel like there was a purpose, because you're kind of establishing the character and showing that he wasn't a bad kid, and he's clearly different from everybody else. We obviously know it when he doesn't at the beginning. So I think it was important to kind of establish that all from the start. And it paid off. I mean, in the end, once things got going, once he really figured things out and was like, oh, I can kind of do what I want. Yeah, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to let loose. I'm going to go after people and just do my thing. I mean, I really, I enjoyed it. I think this is one of my favorite performances from a child actor I've seen. Maybe it's just the character that I enjoyed so much, because, man, he is freaking brutal.
And I think the topic, although
relentless.
kind of derivative, obviously, of Superman, I think it's an interesting take. And we were going back and forth on a text this afternoon, and I was saying, I'm sure it's covered in the comic books. It has to be, with all the work that's been done on Superman over the years. But in the movies, you never really see how people react to Superman being this unstoppable alien force on this human race that has living life without limits.
Well, that's why
hold on now. The first Man of Steel, was it Man of Steel?
BVS kind of touches on it a little bit.
Yeah, there's I mean, they have explored that in the past.
But I just wanted. I feel like they touched on it, but they haven't really expounded on it.
Well, Batman,
that wasn't the outright fear of it,
right?
As much as it was the concern.
Yeah.
Well, Batman,
and that's and the fear then turns Superman against the human race, right? So then, because it's that denial or denial of acceptance that just makes Brandon Breyer go off the hinges and say, well, forget these people.
So I misunderstood what you meant when we were texting earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I thought more you meant you wanted to see where Superman kind of had those. He wasn't just Boy Scout all the time, because Injustice is he's not. I mean, he goes
Right.
off the rails when Lois dies and Joker does what he does. And then there's also I think it's Red Sun. I think it's what it's called, where Superman, instead of landing in Kansas, lands in the USSR, and he's a champion. of comedy.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
So there's those, and then but yeah, with regards to everybody fearing him, I mean, Batman is the living embodiment of that 24/7. And honestly, as much as he's a villain, Lex Luthor is too. He doesn't trust him because
Right.
he can go and take over like that. And Luthor wants his own power. I mean, he doesn't want Superman to.
Well, he
usurp
wants
him,
what
but-
Superman has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with Batman, there's a reason he always carries kryptonite around him, because it takes one bad day or something to happen, and he's not our friend anymore. So I got to make sure we're ready for it. It's so you do see it to some extent, but I guess maybe not. I mean, Tim may have been exposed to it more, but not. I've never seen it as much in your face as I think you're asking for.
Yeah, and I think 'cause that's essentially what this movie was birthed out of, right? Because like we haven't really seen that on the big screen, really developed and thought out and really processed out. So I think that's probably where this idea came from. And it's like, how many times has this movie been thought of on the couch of people who, after watching Superman, be like, oh man, what would happen if he was just rejected by everybody?
Yeah, and I think
people lived in fear of him instead of like in awe.
What's so tough about it is with Superman, he's just inherently good from the jump. Whereas this kid, it's questionable with him. I mean, he breaks that girl's hand, and I mean, that was as brutal as anything we saw in this whole movie.
Right. Yeah, and the timing of his age, I think, is perfect, because as he's getting into puberty, that's when you start to rebel against your parents, and you don't just take everything they say as gospel, and you start to maybe push back and think like, hey, I know things. Maybe 12 is a little young, but but it's like right in that realm, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought the timing of that was pretty appropriate.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what was the grossest moment of the movie for you?
Oh, no question. When the car accident with Noah, when his jaw is hanging off and he's holding his jaw and the blood is pouring out. That was without question.
Oh, that was bad.
And the most cringeworthy, it was like that wasn't cringeworthy as much to me as it was just
gross.
Yeah, it was gross. But as when Erica, the mother of the daughter,
that's what
no, that's not. Is that her? I don't think that's
you're
that
right.
is her
It's
name?
Erica. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, good job. By
Pulls out the glass from her eye,
Oh.
which we saw in an extended trailer release ahead of that movie. I think they showed that whole scene of the being in the.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was so nasty. Oh my God.
That's like, ooh, yeah, no.
I mean, it's like when so he breaks the little girl's hand, and that was pretty graphic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh God, this is only gonna get worse. And holy freaking hell, it just got. I mean, at the end, we're looking at Elizabeth Banks, and as she's flying up through the sky with her son, it's like her face just got messed up because she went through the roof of her house.
Right.
And it's like, I don't even recognize you. Like as you're flying up, then you kind of see her a little bit better when she's up in the sky. But man, this movie is a non-stop thrill ride. And if you're listening, we've already kind of spoiled it for you. But I think that now they've kind of set it up where you can have these other characters in the universe and
right.
build your whole Brightburn universe. I'm definitely in on this because this kid is terrifying. He's emotional, and who's going to stop him?
And he's very smart too.
Right.
He's like got an insane intellectual levels. So like you mentioned the ending, right? Of how kind of I think that's what we both really loved about this movie. That was the first thing I said to you after I saw it was the ending really killed it for me, and that's including the mid and the end credits or whatever, as the credits are rolling there.
Wait a minute, is there anything after the Michael Rooker stuff?
No, that's
okay.
it. Yeah.
You made me worry that I.
But so he spots the plane after he drops his mother down there,
oh
right?
My God!
And then crashes the plane to cover his tracks. It's genius. Now, the one plot hole on that is the female police officer radios out to dispatch saying, we need people down here. We got a big issue. Like some stuff's going down.
Mm-hmm.
So the call was already made out there.
Right.
And he was already on everyone's radar in Brightburn, Kansas, as it was anyway. People already thought he was weird, and then all of a sudden, all this stuff continues to happen to everyone he comes in contact with. So, it's like not that it really matters because he can go off and do whatever he wants now.
Right.
And it's not like the police were going to put him in handcuffs and he's like, okay, I'm going to jail. That's really inconsequential to him.
But that's a monumental enough of an instance that could cover it up, and I think that's why he did that's part of why he did what he did.
Right.
He also did it because he can too.
And then you see, I love whenever they bring in news anchors to describe what's going on in the world. Like I just really enjoy that. I think that's like a really nice touch in a lot of movies, and it's a great way to kind of do things in like a neat and tidy sort of fashion.
Yep.
So then you see the guy, you see him flying through banks or buildings in Brightburn. All this other stuff is going on, and then it goes to the end credits scene where you get the big T, you get the Michael Rooker. Nice little guest spot. An Alex Jones-esque conspiracy theorist.
Yep.
Saying that there are others in the world, a mermaid in the sea, a la Aquaman, and a quote-unquote witch who strangles people to death.
With a rope, yeah.
With a rope, right. So obviously Wonder Woman. And there was a couple others, but those stuck out in mind. I was looking around online that there was apparently another movie that James Gunn made called Super, which stars Rainn Wilson, who was more like a Batman, like a guy without heroes, but is a hero. He's kind of like a Batman type.
Okay.
And they apparently show him who he's got like a red suit, kind of looks like the Flash.
He's a hero though.
But I don't know. I didn't see that movie.
Okay.
But I've heard good things about it. But that's right. Those were the other things that, like, in going back and just trying to pick up some things on the internet, those were something that jumped out at me.
Okay. I don't know I don't know how you're gonna have a Batman type character combat these. I mean, Batman's the one guy who can do it.
Yeah, he was without powers, is from what I was reading. I don't know if he was a hero or not.
My thing is, who's gonna fight these characters? Like,
right.
You have the DC universe turned evil.
Well, so what I thought would be interesting, I had this written down in here, is like, what direction do you go in with this? And is it like a team up Suicide Squad thing, which I think would be kind of lame, or you have like Godzilla King of the Monsters style battle for supremacy amongst each other?
Ooh, I do like that.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be the way to go in the course of it all. And then the humans are trying to figure out a way to kill them all.
Right.
And it's not going to work out in the end for all of them. I like that idea.
That would be kind of cool. But again, it brings in this option of sequels and spinoffs and that sort of thing, which is nice, but it doesn't even necessarily have to, because,
you'll get a sequel for this.
Do you want to give people like Alex Jones credit that they're telling the truth, right? So that's assuming that you believe this Big T character, that he's, well researched and well knowledgeable on these things, which isn't always the case with the Alex Joneses of the world, right? They're taking one thing and extrapolating it to be 10 things. Mm-hmm. So as you see in a lot of movies of art imitating life, is that something that you want to give credence to? I'm not sure if that's thinking too deep into that.
Well, I mean, that's a little bit more of a stretch than, like, look at A Scanner Darkly, which basically made Alex Jones out to be a hero.
Yeah.
So I think it's if it's a storytelling device, I don't think people will take it as that. Mm-hmm. But you do run the risk of empowering Alex Jones,
those types,
audience. Yeah.
Right. So and that's obviously, it's been a concerted effort on all fronts to kind of silence him and keep kind of downplay him a little bit. So to give him those types that extra little punch. Yeah, I don't know I'm not sure if that was the intention. So but either way, sequel or not, I think this movie stands alone as itself. Like, it could just be a single.
It could be, but they don't do that anymore, Wes.
No, they don't.
That. But I got to say, I'm curious what your favorite moment is of the movie. Mine, as much as it sucks, and you want to see you kind of want to see the kid die at the end of it all, because he's the villain and he's a monster and he's going to destroy the earth. Mm-hmm. I like that they did not give us a happy ending. I like that. I mean, I didn't think he was going to kill his mom, because she was so sweet to him the entire movie. Always had his back, always by his side.
But when she goes to kill him,
yep,
that's the last person who was in his corner.
The last person. It's like, whoa.
Like on Earth, right?
And look, I get it, dramatic effect, and the whole thing is you want to give him a moment where he's able to swoop in and stop her. Mm-hmm. But he's quick enough that if she tries to make one slight move at his back, you made it a little more dramatic than you needed to. Because at the same time, I'm thinking, Mom, just stab him in the stomach. Just do it.
Just do it. Like Jon Snow style.
Yep. Get it done. It's got to give Jon Snow that credit. He got it done quick and efficient.
Right.
And with And I'm sure Khaleesi said that more than once. Hey-oh. So it took me a second there. But anyways.
Oh, you got there, though.
So with Elizabeth Banks, I'm just thinking, just do it quick. Get it done with. I was really expecting to be like Jon Snow and Khaleesi, actually. But when he catches her, he's disappointed. And then he's like, that's it. You're done.
Because he says that he wants to be good. I don't necessarily believe that.
No, he doesn't want to be good.
But he says it.
Maybe he does, but his definition of good and her definition of good are two different things. He wants to take over the world, and he thinks that's the good thing. But, man, for all the vicious kills that he had in this movie, because all 4 of his kills, right? He has 3 kills outside of his mom. And then he messed up. Was it Emily was the daughter's name?
I forget.
The little girl. That was
he has
vicious.
a crush on. Yeah,
who he still has a crush on, by the way. Because he gives her flowers and says, like, I'm going to take care of it so I can talk to you. So weird. But anyways,
which was killing his mom.
Yeah, killing her mom. And then outside. But those 3 kills were all crazy in their own ways. But to take for all intents and purposes, that's his mom.
The emotional depth behind that.
I mean, she's been there for you forever. She's your. I think most. I'm not adopted, so I can't speak to it. But I would think most adopted people from birth would say that mom's their mom. They love them like anybody else loves their mom because it is their mom.
And he acknowledges that in the conversations with his aunt, the school counselor there. He's like, yeah, well, of course they're my parents, and I love them as such, and I see them as that, but I'm beyond that now.
Superior.
He knows. Yeah.
To kill her the way he killed her, I think that's the most powerful. I mean, it's the most powerful.
Just drop her out of the sky, yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, how high? She's above the clouds.
So, you figure 35,000 feet, right? Because that's where planes fly at.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Oh my!
Cruising altitude.
Oh, and Elizabeth Banks did such a good job with it. She did.
I like Elizabeth Banks.
Yep.
I really like Roy, Kyle. I forget his name there. Dave Denham.
Dave Denham. Yeah, I thought he did a good job.
So I like him, and this is what I said to you when we came in here. I mean, one of the stark contrasts is between Superman and Brandon here, Brightburn, is the presence of a beacon of hope out of the father role.
Right. Yeah.
It's Kyle in the movie is kind of afraid of him. He's kind of aloof. He even says, he's like, I never knew how to be a good father when we first had you. And he goes and he has that kind of like awkward birds and the bees talk and that sort of thing.
It's okay if you touch it.
Right. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, which is funny. I like that. It was like a nice like little levity right there.
Well, if you think about it, his dad's why he crept into the girl's bedroom. Like, it's his fault.
Right.
Because he gave him the green light to do something like that.
Right.
It's okay to act on it.
But he said now? He goes, no, not now.
Yeah. No.
So yeah. What do you mean, like right now? But Clark Kent's father was always the beacon of hope, and the beacon of what is good.
What is
human.
just? What is just? Do the right thing.
And why he can get behind the human race is that his father is the image of the human race that he has, right? Or the good in human race.
Yeah, and
So that was lacking there. Obviously, the mother kind of fulfills that role a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. The mom was, Elizabeth Banks was a sweetheart in this whole movie. And even then, I didn't think Kyle was that much of a dink. He wasn't polished. No. But he wasn't a bad guy. You know what I thought was funny, and I thought of you when I saw this, when this moment happened in the movie, when they came across his pornographic pictures. Remember, because your mom, right? She
found him. Yeah, years later.
It's a callback to an early episode too. I can't remember which one it was.
I don't know. We have to go back and figure that out.
Yeah, but anyways, that was the funny little moment in the course of that movie. But
it's funny you bring that up. So one line that stuck out to me the most is early in the movie in the classroom. The teacher's talking about bees, right? And he's drawing all the bees in his little notebook there, not paying attention. And she calls on him. Yeah. And asks him, what's the difference between bees and wasps? And he says bees pollinate and they colonize, and wasps are predators who kill everything around them and then take over, the colony and create their own home.
Total foreshadowing.
Right.
Because he is a wasp by that definition.
Well, so this is the question that I had. So he appears to be the wasp in most of the movie, right? But then you find these pictures, right? So it's not like porn or anything, and they're just like Maxim magazine or something to that effect. But he also finds the anatomy photos, right, of like the dissected frog or the insides of the belly, and then you also see Erica's body later on in the movie inside the ship, like pinned up and cut open and like dissected. So
disgusting.
He's clearly interested in reproduction and knowing like the female anatomy and how it works. And then obviously the crush on the girl. So maybe he is trying to pollinate and colonize.
So he's a bee.
He's kind of pulled, in between. And
wow.
Maybe it's neither. Like maybe that's just set up for the conversation piece. You know what I mean? But
no, I didn't think of that though. It's a great point.
But maybe it doesn't have to be either. But it's like nice to talk about after the fact.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a bee. There's no questions asked. He's definitely not a wasp.
Right. So like, why was he so why would they show that in there?
And that's why he was sent to Earth. Whereas with Clark Kent, he was oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his Krypton name. That's terrible. Kal-El. Yes, thank you. When he's shipped to Earth, it's out of desperation because his planet is being destroyed and yada yada yada. But with this one, with Brendan Breyer,
Superman's clearly the bee.
Right. Yes. So, yes. But even then, I wouldn't even say he's not trying to colonize and make like his whole new thing. He's just trying to live a normal life.
That his father sent him out to save the race.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough. Yes. He is a bee, but in a calmer sense, I guess, of the term. But with this kid, he totally seems like the wasp in it all, but he's just a very aggressive bee. He's almost like a hybrid between the two, I guess, in some ways. But yeah, I just totally thought he was.
That's interesting, right? So I was like, that always stuck out to me. And again, like I can't take full credit of this. Like that line stuck out to me, and I typed in bees, wasp, Brightburn, explained. And it goes in. So that was kind of what I came up with there after that. But I always thought, because immediately I was like, oh, well, he's the wasp. And like you see this a lot in movies too, is that they use these classroom scenes to have, as the teacher explaining to the class, they're also like indirectly talking to us too, about what's happening in the movie. And that you can usually pick up like good themes from those type of scenes.
I'm thinking about kind of going off the rails a little bit, but still keeping in line with Brightburn. With this, like, my mind wandered a little bit right there. I was thinking about his scene with the aunt, and where he's kind of, like, we're thinking the whole time he's going to kill her. Like, he's popping up here and there around the corners. He pops up at her house, which was so bizarre. They are not next door neighbors, and the aunt just kind of makes it off like it's nothing, really, in the grand scheme of things, when it's something. But when he's popping up around her, and then he's chasing after his uncle, and he's popping up around here and there, and the same thing happens with Erica, the waitress. Like, I would say it's more a horror movie than I gave it credit for initially. I would just say it was horror.
Right, you get
elements.
those jump scares and that sort of thing.
There's
to
a lot
it.
of it. There is a lot.
Low lighting, very grim kind of feel to it.
I think at the end of it all, the most important message in this movie, Wes, was to make sure to fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Otherwise,
you're going to have the jaw hanging from your mouth like that.
That was gross.
Oh, it was so gross. My one last nitpick on this was
that was worse than the eye thing. I think in the end.
Was that so? What was your gruesome scene?
The eye one was brutal.
Yes.
It was awful. Like I was like, don't pull it out. Don't pull it out. Don't. Oh God, this is awful.
And she doesn't she's like.
But the jaw
doesn't really talking, like she's not really expressing much pain when she's doing it. She's like more like grossed out. Like I would be like screaming and writhing in pain if I had to pull that out.
I think maybe because she was in shock. I don't know, but that was brutal. And like the thing with that is that's so real. Whereas with Noah, as much as aka Badger, as much as that was. That could happen, I guess, to somebody. I don't know. I think it'd take a lot of force, but who knows? Automobiles move quickly. I never ever would have thought of something like that. So that grossed me out more.
Yeah.
But that was savage. But again, I still stand by him killing Elizabeth Banks the way he did. Man, was heavy.
Yeah, because there's the emotion behind it, right? Because everyone else, it's like there's no real connection. He is just kind of carrying out like a personal vendetta, right? But this one obviously has a little bit more meaning to him.
One was his uncle who loved him, who was a good dude to him, he was the fun uncle.
Like, they don't really set him up all that much.
It's Badger. How
he
do
buys
you
him a gun.
Badger?
Yeah.
You see him on Breaking Bad. I'm sure they watch it in Brightburn.
Yeah, they're fans of his work.
Exactly.
My one last nitpick on this, and then we can close up however you like here, but is when Kyle takes out Brandon on the quote-unquote hunting trip where he goes to kill him. Mm-hmm. They've already established that he's never bled before, he's never broken a bone. Nothing's ever happened. The only time he's cut himself, and I think only the mother noticed that, right? Because is on the ship. Why does he think a rifle is going to kill him?
That's a great point.
Right? Like, why do you think that's going to get it done?
Well, like we said, Kyle was not the brightest of bulbs.
Yes.
He was very
salt of the earth.
Clearly very nervous and skittish when it came to this whole situation, and handled it fairly poorly.
But he was right, though. He was right the whole time.
Oh, he was for sure right. Not that Elizabeth Banks necessarily handled it all that great, because there was clearly an issue. Then she could have done a better job.
But all right, she
You're
agrees
right, though.
with him, right? Say they just agree. What do you do then? You got an alien child who is unstoppable. What do you do?
You talk about it and you say, all right, we know he's never been cut before. Maybe a bullet would work. And then you're like, well, okay, there's that, but what if that doesn't work? Because if you're smart, if you're dealing with this situation, you got to make like 15 different plans for this, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because this kid's insane. Now, I mean, mentally he's gone, and at the same time he's so strong that nothing can beat him. I would think in the course of a 15-minute conversation about this, you would probably figure out, oh my God, that's right. I saw him cut his hand on the ship. We got to use that. That's what it is. That will resolve the issue.
Yeah.
I would think you'd do that.
Yeah, well,
doesn't mean it would work.
You got a lot running through your mind.
For sure. Doesn't mean it would work. Now, if you had Eugene from The Walking Dead who knew how to make bullets, and then you put it in Kyle's gun, then you're all set. Then you blow his brains out like you did.
Oh, there we go.
But, we don't have Eugene. We don't have Badger. We just have Badger playing another character in this movie.
Right.
But all in all, I really enjoyed it. I hope everybody else did that saw it too. I thought it was a good movie. I would say that's the best way to describe it. I think an 80 qualifies as a good, borderline, very good.
I lived between 80 and 84 in high school. That was my real sweet spot.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Yes.
I was a straight B minus kid. You know what I mean?
I was the same way in college for sure. So Tim, you can now check back in, because I know you hadn't seen the movie and that we recommended it to you, because we now have our 2v1 set up for this week.
Very tough 2v1.
I think this is a pretty good one. So we have Winter Soldier, Green Ranger from the Power Rangers,
of course,
and Nightwing, obviously of DC fame, and of course Winter Soldier of the MCU and Marvel Comics. Two will try to kill you, one will try to protect you. Wes, we had a couple people weigh in on this on Twitter. Do you want to share what they had to say?
Yeah, I got him right here. So we have Matt C. at Ewok Fantasy Guru.
Ooh.
Easily Green Ranger protect, not even a debate.
Wow, okay.
Then we have Phoebus, at Phoebus, and a whole bunch of numbers. I love you, Phoebus. I love how much you
Is he the guy with
interact.
the Joker face?
Yeah, I love how much you interact with us. Got to shorten up that handle, though, because I refuse to read off all those numbers, because anyone who's listening is not going to rewind this to go back and follow you.
Yeah.
Shorten it up, make it more succinct. Thank you for all your interaction here. Simply Nightwing.
Yes.
With all that lead up,
All
it's just
that being
Nightwing.
said,
Yeah.
Nightwing.
Then we have Mitchie B of course, By Your Terms podcast. So at Mitch _BYT. Absolutely F this. Now, I feel like he was channeling me a little bit there. Now, I wasn't sure where, because he was coming in hot.
He originally had an issue with the matter, like figuring out where he wanted to go with it. And let me see if I can find the first tweet that he said.
Okay. So while you're looking that up, I'll say, absolutely F this. I'm taking Winter Soldier and Green Ranger trying to kill me. Give me Nightwing to protect me all day. Pick it and stick it, Free Row.
Free Row, because that's still my name.
But it doesn't roll. No, that's a horrible name generator.
He said, I can't figure it out, when I quote tweeted originally. And that's why he said F this.
Okay.
I think, because I thought this was a good one. I thought it was a pretty tough decision for people. And it seems like it's not the case. I don't know. We'll see. Do you want to go first, or should we defer to Tim?
Let's defer to Tim. Let's get the man in the chair some
All
action
right,
here.
Tim.
Always defer to Tim first.
Yeah,
I know.
I want to give Wes the power. So we have Winter Soldier, we have the Green Ranger from the Power Rangers, and we have Nightwing from obviously DC fame.
Well, I'm certainly not picking Nightwing.
Okay.
And nothing against him, but I just don't think that he's formidable enough against the other two. And I don't really know that much about Power Rangers. I didn't watch it. Usually that was when I took a nap when I came home from high school when that was on. They were too energetic for me at that point in my life.
I understand.
So I'd pick Winter Soldier by default. I do worry that he's going to get all morose and, do his typical Bucky thing.
Yeah.
You guys are awful. You guys throw him so much shade.
But I'm going to pick him just by default because, just the other two I don't know enough about one, and I know enough about the other to say that I don't think he's got what it takes.
Okay. All right. So he took your approach on this, Wes.
Yeah, well, I love the process of elimination here. Again, very tough choice. I'm a fan of Nightwing, although I don't know a whole lot about him. But I liked his look. I like most of the people in the Bat family. Is that Jason Todd? Who is Nightwing?
That's Dick Grayson.
Dick Grayson.
The original Robin.
The original Robin.
Jason Todd is Red Hood.
Yes,
My
thank
man.
you. Okay. So, my
Although I love
lasting
them both.
impression of Bucky Barnes is not as bad as the performance. It's not as badass. Right, in like when you get first introduced to him in Captain America: Winter Soldier.
I will agree with that.
But being held against his will and regrettably fighting in battles—that's how I remember him. Like he's just a hostage, and he's a warmonger. You know, he just gets only brought out whenever there's war going on. So he looks tired. He's not really into it. Like I'm just not sure if that's what I want to protect him when like life is on the line. Again, I don't know all that much about Nightwing, but Dick Grayson, he's an acrobatic person.
Yeah, he doesn't have superpowers. He's definitely at the disadvantage of the three here.
Okay.
I have a tendency to, for some reason, every time I do this, I have two characters that make a lot of sense going against one another. But the third
it's tough finding that third one.
Yeah, I mean, granted, we've had quite a few conversations where we're each picking one.
Yeah.
Because we all have our own opinion and our bias. I think with the Star Wars one, or with Chewbacca, I think we had a mix there.
Yeah.
But it's just that, I don't know, for some reason I can't get it exactly where I want it to, but it still makes it tough where you're thinking about this and it's like, okay, well, maybe one-on-one, a certain guy is going to do well.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going with Bucky Barnes. One-on-one against the Green Ranger, maybe you're right.
Well,
but
here's my reasoning why I'm going with Tommy. Aside from having like a complete affinity for him as a child.
Of course, yeah.
I was absolutely obsessed. But he has the power to defeat all 5 Power Rangers as he does early on. You know, he handles them. He's a huge problem for all the Power Rangers before joining forces, and has a sick Dragon Zord to protect him. Just play that little flute, play that little dagger, and you get the Dragon Zord coming out to take care of Winter Soldier, and then I'm assuming he can handle Nightwing in one-on-one combat.
I think you're right that he could handle Nightwing one-on-one, no problem. I'm going with Winter Soldier because what I feel like gets lost in the course of all of Bucky's brooding and not even brooding, just depressed mannerisms in the MCU is that he took a serum similar to the Super Soldier Serum.
Right, it's the same thing.
This guy's no wiggling, and he's a highly trained assassin. So you got Dick Grayson coming at you. He's going to take him out with a sniper. No issues. That's done in a second. You got your cute little flute that you're playing over there, and we're talking about the metal flute, right? Not any kind of, not the skin variety or anything like that, right? I just want to make
You took it in a really weird place.
Whoa, yeah. It's a little skin flu here. We're going
that is the third
X-rated.
Okay, I believe in doing everything's in threes, and I think that is the third sexual reference we've made this episode.
Okay.
So, and they've all been pretty, like, ingrained, like, pretty, whatever. Anyways, so when
he's not playing a skin flute. Nick.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. So with Winter Soldier, he's not going to have time to get that flute out. He's going to kick his ass before he has any shot. We've seen what he looks like in hand-to-hand combat, and I'm sorry. I love the Power Rangers, but we saw what their choreography looks like. He's no shot. He's hanging with Winter Soldier. I don't care about different times.
They're
different
fighting
eras.
putties at the end of the day,
Exactly.
right?
They're fighting putties. This guy's going hand to hand against Captain America in the Chitauri. I mean, come on.
Correct. Yeah.
He's going to be just fine. And
he holds up well against Iron Man.
And he's got a vibranium arm now, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, come on, Green Ranger. He'll put up a decent fight, but he can rely on his Dragon Zord to come in time, but he's not that fast if you remember correctly. So it's going to take him a little time to get there. So he's got to keep playing that flute to get him over there. Winter Soldier will have lopped his head off already by that time, and I'm all set.
But
and I'm safe. You're dead.
But all I'm going to say, so you can, I don't need the Green Ranger to live. Yeah, you can play the flute, fall, die. I'm off somewhere. Dragon Zord still comes in to saves the day.
He stops after the flute's done. He has to keep playing the flute, does he not? Oh no, he doesn't.
No, you just got to call it.
This is true.
It's not like a continual thing. Like, wait, 1 second. Let me get through this third stanza here.
You're right. You're right. Okay, but I think he still has to control it when it's around. Oh, that's
a detail that I have not looked into.
Yeah,
but I thought he manned it. Like I thought it was unmanned. It could be unmanned.
That is a tough one. That is the gray area. That's the gap in my Power Rangers knowledge. That's what happens
because they all got to come there from somewhere, right? Because like when they all start going call on their Dragon Zords, like you see them coming out.
Yep.
So they got to be running on their own, like operating on their own.
Pterodactyl!
Yeah.
That
exactly.
is so. I still love that. As brutal as that show is in hindsight.
Oh, it's so fun.
Have you gone back? We've talked about this before.
I've gone back and seen the original movie.
The original movie. Okay.
And it does not hold up.
Dude, don't watch the show then.
Secret of the Ooze, I think was the.
That's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah. There's something to do with the ooze, though. There's like the purple goo that goes everywhere. That is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is the sequel, right? Isn't that? Yeah.
Yes. But the show does not hold up well at all. We have to watch it together sometime and tape a little video so that people can see how you react to it, because I already know how brutal it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, Wes, in the course of this past week, I'm sure there have been other things on your mind as you've been preparing and set aside some time for Brightburn. But what else has been going on? What's been on your mind?
Yeah, so a lot of good choices to stream on Netflix coming up. Lots of good choices. So in June, you got Into the Spider-Verse. I just found like I had a little bit of a lisp there. Into the Spider-Verse. June 26th. That's available for streaming. The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are back on Netflix as of the 1st of this month. You have Adam Devine's stand-up special, Best Time of Our Lives, on June 18th. You have Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I have not seen. I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one, but I love the first one there. Comes out June 11th. Documentary Now, starring Bill Hader and why am I blanking on his name?
Fred Armisen.
Thank you. Yes. Season 3 comes out June 3rd. And then your favorite show, Jessica Jones Season 3, comes out June 14th.
I don't think that's my favorite Marvel Netflix show.
No.
But actually, no, it's Punisher even at this point.
Right.
I got that covered too.
Oh, you're all set. You're decked head to toe in Netflix Marvel gear.
I am, by the way.
There's a couple other good stuff, too. There's like a cool movie on the Central Park 5. I think it's called When They See Us, about 5 black kids who are pretty much charged with assaulting or raping a woman and wrongly sent to prison. That seems really powerful. I think John Leguizamo's in that. I watched the preview of it. Looks good. It's heavy, so I wasn't ready to watch it in the current headspace I was at. Mm-hmm. But that looks good. And then Always Be My Maybe, which is the Asian guy who is the FBI agent in the Ant-Man movies.
Oh yeah, I saw the preview for
he's
that.
in that. Yeah, so
that looks funny.
That looks pretty good too. Like a nice like chick flick sort of thing. You go out, watch it on the couch with a girlfriend, that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good list of stuff there.
There's some good stuff out there.
I'm curious how long the Batman movies last there, because I feel like everybody's seen it a ton, but maybe it's been a while.
I've gone back and watched The Dark Knight already.
You have?
Yeah, I like to put it on at night or something.
Do you own it though, or did you put it on Netflix? You had it?
No, I had it on Netflix.
Oh, it was already on. Oh, as of June 1st, right? Okay,
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Ralph Breaks the Internet, I do want to see, and I will watch Jessica Jones too. By the way, going back to the gear, I'm for those who watch on the YouTube channel, I always wear some form of a superhero thing. Although I had Tommy Boy, Calhoun Auto Parts, and then in the Sons of Anarchy shirt that I wore. I'm maybe at the end of my rope with the superhero
getting to the
stuff.
bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, so I mean, that just means I got to order new stuff.
Well, what you should do is send us recommendations for you.
Yeah, if people have recommendations, by all means. I generally go with TeePublic because they run deals and they have a lot of good stuff. I'm probably going to get another Red Hood shirt because Lord knows I need one.
Well, yeah.
I think I actually have another Red Hood shirt that I haven't worn yet. I do own two, but that's not what's been on my mind. So, Wes, the other day I was in New York and I tweeted this out. I went to Midtown Comics, which there are, I believe, 3 locations in New York. I went to the Grand Central location.
Sure, I'm familiar.
And have you been to Midtown Comics?
I haven't been, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. I was gonna go to that one and the Times Square one, but because I was so dead by the end of the day, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But I love it. I spent probably an hour in there just looking through stuff, trying to find things that I can't get at the comic book stores that I go to in our area because. Boston has some good stuff. They have maybe a wider variety, but I usually buy in the Dartmouth area.
Sure.
And but there are certain things that they don't have. They have a lot, but not everything. And Midtown Comics has. If you ever go to New York and you love this stuff, if you haven't been there already, go to one of them. I think the Times Square one has the most stuff, but I've probably been to the Grand Central one a little bit more often. But they still got a ton. I love it there. They got a bunch of action figures, gear, all that. But the reason I was in New York.
Yes.
was to
reliving some glory days.
To my annual reminder why I don't play baseball anymore, because it is just so. You know, I know people watch it and it's like, oh, it's a boring game and oh, everybody's fat and overweight that plays. You know what, man? You got to be in shape to play that game. It is a pain in the ass. I had to catch 4 innings. I wore a foul tip off the toe. I showed Tim and Wes my foot. What it looked
Not
like.
exactly Randy Johnson's on the mound pounding the strike zone either.
No,
right?
yeah. So when you're catching, it's brutal because I'm out there it's 4 innings. But it's really like 8 innings, and you get drilled in the foot. I caught another inning after I got drilled in the foot. Mind you.
Well, yeah, you're an athlete.
Yeah, I was. But after that 4th inning, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm gonna take an inning off, get ready to pitch, and that was it. But it was, this is people used to ask me to play men's league, and it's like, no. And this is exactly why, because it makes me miserable afterwards. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I play at Yankee Stadium. It's great.
Well, you got to play like beer league softball, not like fast pitch. 30 and over or whatever.
I don't. I just with the nature of our work, we work later in the day.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't.
I hear you. That's what keeps me from softball.
Really.
Yeah. I can't commit to it. It's tough.
It is tough.
But okay. So a couple of questions. Did Boston win?
Oh no.
No. The New York team was good.
I wouldn't say that.
Were you the best athlete on the field?
Yes.
Yes. Is that easy? I know you're a fairly young guy. I was looking at some of the photos left. I was very interested. I love all these kind of media type of games. Like I love getting highlights of the Celtics media game after the end of the season. I think that's always fun.
There are a couple. I will say New York has a few quality, like some decent athletes.
Mm-hmm. But you had to be one of the younger guys out there, younger people.
We have the youth on our side for the most part. They have a guy who played club ball at Northeastern. They got another guy who's actually a fellow Northwestern grad, and he was
on the New York team.
On the New York team,
yeah.
he tried out for the baseball team at Northwestern. He's a few years older than me. Maybe he's a few years older than you, I think, actually.
Okay.
But he's a good athlete. He didn't end up playing it at Northwestern, but I mean, it doesn't mean you're bad necessarily.
Oh, it's Division I baseball.
And then they had another guy who wasn't playing this year at the Yankee Stadium game. I don't know why, but I think he writes for the Post now. He just wrote a book on the Yankees. Bob Clappish. He pitched at Columbia. And
he's who you were mentioning to me, yeah.
He's up there in age, but he can still get it to, I think, I'd probably say 72 now, but he's got a good cutter, and it's I mean, it's a pain in the ass for me to hit. But yeah, I mean, when I pitch, I wouldn't say I haven't been in pitching shape the last 2 years, like where I can get myself to. And now I've been told I'm going to start in the Fenway game, so I'm probably going to have to let loose.
So it's a 2-game series. They come back.
Yeah,
oh, that's kind of cool though.
Yep, yeah, it's fun. I do enjoy it. But
so who got the start?
Rob Bradford. He's the starting pitcher. Not this next game though. He normally does feasible enough. It's just that we don't field well behind him.
Yeah,
there are holes.
Is Rob Bradford an athlete? Because did he rebound from that game against Wiggy?
By media standards, I would say he is.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
But, I mean, I don't know how we would do in a game. We've played 2-on-2 together and done fairly well for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, positionless basketball, as I like to mention.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, we would still kick his ass, whoever you put on his team, but...
Well, he's tall, though, too.
He's my height.
He's a big frame. Oh, is he? I felt like he's tall, like 6'3" or something like that.
Maybe he's 6'1". I don't think he's that tall. No.
Okay.
But either way, Rob's he's fine. Like I'd say he's average.
Yeah.
For like, I'd blow him away if he hit against me too. I mean, like that's usually what I do. But by the second inning this time around, my legs were smoked. Mm-hmm. I was probably 80. You were asking for a radar gun. I would estimate I was anywhere from 85 to 80 in that first inning.
Okay.
I would say the first one I threw might have been a little over 85. The first warm-up pitch.
You're a little gassed up.
Yeah, I want to let it fly.
Well, you're in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Right? Is that your first time?
No, it's not. But I still got a little hyped up, and I was like, "Whoa, I gotta."
Yeah, I mean that's understandable.
Reel it back a little bit, and then, but by the time the second inning started that I pitched, I was already toast. It was 75. I had to start taking off some of my fastball to like throw somewhat of a changeup because normally they can't touch my fastball. But then like these average guys are just random people are fouling it off, and it's like, oh damn it, I'm so smoked. So it's like now they want me to start, so I got to get ready because I don't like getting hit. I don't like it when people make contact off me in these games. And
what'd you top out at in like peak college, Nick Fryer?
91.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not. If I train, like I won't have enough time to. I mean, my elbow won't allow me to get to 91 anymore. But if I train, I might sit 85 for a couple innings.
Okay.
I might. that may be a little aggressive, but we'll see. I don't know.
What's your out pitch?
My out pitch in college was my changeup, but I don't throw it in these games. As much as my changeup moved a ton, they didn't it's still a changeup.
They can't catch it, or
no. Right now, I'd be worried that they would actually hit it. As much as it moves well, it's just because it's only so effective when I'm slowing their bats down. I've thrown my hook against them occasionally, but the guy who usually catches for me doesn't like it when I throw my hook. He was open to it this time, but I didn't prepare to throw it at all. So maybe I'll try and incorporate that in, because that was my other pitch. I threw 3 pitches in college, and I was a 2-seam guy, not a 4-seam guy.
Oh, okay. So a lot of movement then.
So it was 91 with movement.
Yeah.
So
now is your change? Are you doing like a knuckle change, curve, circle? Okay.
Circle, and it moves exactly like my fastball does, but it's like 8 miles an hour slower. Perfect speed.
Same arm slot? This is no one wants to hear that. I'm just generally interested.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is not the audience.
Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, the show is over. But Wes has a few more questions. But yeah, it was I could throw it wherever I wanted to in any count. So I could get anybody out with that anytime. I didn't give up an extra base hit in my senior year with it till my last game.
No kidding.
Yeah.
The entire senior year. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was 22 appearances, 6 starts, something like that.
Yeah.
So.
I know, you got a 20 strikeout game in there, right?
No, that was in high school. No, I never.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh, so that was senior year. No one got a hit off of you in college. Oh, okay.
No one got an extra base hit off the changeup in college my senior year.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a nice little humble brag then.
Yeah, until my last game. But yeah,
that's not really humble. That's just like a straight out brag.
It's just a fact.
Yeah. It's nice though. Yeah. I'm not like I would say that all the time. I would lead off with that. You know.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, that's it. Next week, thanks for tuning in. If you're still at this point of the podcast, we will be coming back with the superior superhero classes.
Yes.
Is that like a good way to kind of nip that in?
We were gonna do it was tech versus skill characters and who we like more, but we could do
do you want to break it up so we do that in another? You kind of have a couple episodes out of it?
I say, well, yeah, we're going to have Dark Phoenix coming up in 2 weeks.
So if we're going to do Dark Phoenix...
Let's do your idea first.
But if we're going to do Dark Phoenix, we should do mutants.
So let's do your idea. So what we'll do is, and what this may mean nothing to you right now, but I'll explain it after, Wes. We will do it based on Marvel Contest of Champions.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, we're going to do it based off of those 6, and we'll try and figure out how it works with DC in there, but we'll figure it out.
Sounds great. Till next time.